Buon pomeriggio, riprendiamo i lavori di questa sesta edizione del Sustainable Economy Forum. Entriamo nel merito di alcuni capitoli, stamattina li abbiamo toccati in parte, entriamo nei capitoli specifici che vanno in qualche modo a definire le traiettorie che possiamo seguire, gli strumenti.
Good afternoon. We're starting with our World Economy Forum afternoon panel, and we're going to talk about a more sustainable model, talking about infrastructures and energy. So first of all, I would like to call our guests here in presence. Stefano Boni, co-founder of Nuclear. We're going to talk about nuclear energy, and Regina De Albertis, President Asimpredi Ance and Technical Director of Borio Mangiarotti. So we're going to talk of infrastructures also with Luca Cordero di Montezemolo, Executive President of Italy, who is connected, and also with Matteo Curti, who is representative of another company. So now I would like to give the floor to Luca Cordero di Montezemolo, because obviously if we talk about infrastructures and the development of the railway infrastructure, there is a strong connection with decarbonization. So I would like to know about your vision in terms of the future of mobility in Italy. Good morning. I can hear you really well. I'm very sorry I can't be with you physically. Can you hear me? Yes, we have a very strict schedule, so you have only 5 minutes. Wow, you're faster than Italo. Okay, 5 minutes. When I'm 4 minutes, give me a sign. Okay. So very quickly, we have to say that today the train is the most important means of transport with less impact.
And it's so important that in France, the government decided that if a flight can cover a distance that can be covered with a train in less than 2.5 hours, the only option is the train. 1.9% of total CO2 is consumed by trains. But just to give an idea, aircraft accounts for 12% of CO2 production. We talk about sustainability today, but we should do more about it. Personally, I've always considered sustainability towards our collaborators, and I was awarded a prize at Ferrari, the best place to work in terms of quality of life, environment and sustainability. With Italo, we have the train that has the best impact. I'm sorry if when I know that I have a short time available, I don't think of showing slides. But what I can say is that we can have a strong impact on total trains in Italy. Our train has a 12% CO2 impact compared with other Italian trains that have 15% CO2 impact. And our trains are equipped with EPA filters that are usually mounted on flights. So we are the only train, Italy is the only train that has this EPA filter in Europe, and this serves to decrease CO2 emissions. Then talking about sustainability, sustainability is something that we have to use vis-a-vis our collaborators, and sometimes it is disregarded. Today, about 50% of our employees are women. 20% of our employees are below 30 years of age, and the average age of our employees is 35 years old. So we have an impact on youth, and our customer satisfaction is 91%. Therefore, 91 customers out of 100 are very happy with the Italo train. And I'm saying this not because I want to advertise, Italo train. You know that Italo is the best train. I invite you to use it and to travel with it. But I'm saying that because when we talk about sustainability, we should also consider the sustainability of the product itself. So internal sustainability and culture. Because sustainability is a culture that we have to require from people who work for us. Then just two figures I want to share with you. The increase in the use of the train. After TV, after RAI, the TV channels, the Italo train represented the largest private company in the railway sector. So the ecological impact of the train increased, and the average price of tickets decreased by 50%. Our competitor, Frecciarossa, should create a monument to us, because thanks to our competition, Frecciarossa is able to improve its quality service. Do I have more time? 20 seconds. Okay. Yes. So I want to say that I'm very sorry I couldn't be with you at San Patrignano. And I think that the people who are there, I'm going to say that they want to come soon to speak with them about Italo, about Ferrari, about competition and merit. And then I want to congratulate you, because today, speaking with practical examples, of a sustainable economy, not only doing theory, it's very important. Thank you, Luca Cordero di Montezemolo. A double thank you, because you gave us your important contribution, and you really stick to the time. So it's a benchmark for this afternoon session. I invite all speakers to follow. So now, Matteo Beccuti, Managing Director of Environment Park, but before we have a video that lasts 1 minute, but we wanted to be generous with him, so we want to show you this video.
Eccoci qua, allora Matteo.
So here we are, Matteo Beccuti. What are you doing in this park, and what have technologies to do with the sustainability, particularly hydrogenous? I'm sorry, we can't hear you. Maybe we can have an audio.
A posto.
Okay, we're fine. Can you hear me? Great, thank you. So first of all, I wish to convey the greetings of President Portas, who couldn't be with you today. I know he really wanted to participate in this event. So I will talk on his behalf. As you have seen in the video that has preceded me, we have a space dedicated to sustainability, which comes from the idea of different members. And it is in the center of Turin, over 30,000 square meters.
Ancora detentori di un record a livello europeo per.
So we have the European record for the green surface in Europe. We have over 60 companies within this space connected to green economy. And
e anche contaminazioni di pensiero che sono a nostro modo di vedere.
So we've got very important activities going on. This is a real place with a virtual community as well.
Questo polo afferiscono altre 150 aziende che vanno.
There's over 50,000 companies that collaborate with us. And so we are setting out different projects. We have a wider surface on the territory, therefore we attract a lot of investment. We are an important demo site, and the plan to reduce our emissions will bring us to net zero in 2030. We have 4 branches. Chimica Verde, that deals with biofuels, and then foil hydrogen. We've been using hydrogen since 30 years. We had developed different components on the territory, and it was useful for us to start from scratch with some components of the territory through PNRR. We started some projects that we are following from very close, the production of green hydrogen. We are also studying new forms of fuel, and we think that growing the use of hydrogen could bring to a growth in demand and distribution networks that can be adapted. And we are also going to be involved in different topics. Automotive is also important because hydrogen fuels allow the creation of more jobs. I'm very sorry, but the audio is very bad, so the interpreter cannot hear properly. So, of course, what is important is also the social and economical aspect. No one must be left behind. And we also need to foster the reduction of costs and protect workplaces and the well-being of our citizens. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we're going to talk about energy. In Europe, it was kind of a quick wake-up call the Ukrainian crisis, the increasing gas price showed us we were powerless. We were depending on a supplier that we could have never deemed to be reliable. We had to change course. And in 1.5 years, with reorientation of purchases and other means, we managed to cut our dependence from Russia. And we actually had a business improvement, business and a gas surplus. So we only needed a political choice to go to that direction. So what did we do? We went to look for fuel, for gas in different countries who are not Western countries and who are not democracies. You know, we went to Azerbaijan and Qatar. We have encountered different problems. So how do we deal with this problem? Now, in the European taxonomy, namely the classification of sources that can be classified as renewable within Fit for 55 scheme, there is also nuclear power. So there we are talking again about nuclear fusion, but it's going to take some time to get to the mass production of this form of energy. But we can also talk about new generation nuclear power, starting from the atom. Now,
per referendum, non del tutto, prendiamo ancora.
So, in Italy, we have an interesting company, Nucleo. This is a startup with 700 people working, and we have Stefano Buono, the managing director, who is planning to design pocket nuclear reactors, and once they are built, they can be localized and use waste and have a lead cooling system that solves the problem of all the nuclear power stations. So I'm going to invite him here, and he's going to build in 5 minutes a nuclear power station. You can beat Mr. Montezemolo. Well, actually, this introduction did a lot of the work I wanted to do. I would like to talk in favor of nuclear power because you talk about energy dependence, and this was a huge problem for Europe over the last 2 years. But the beginning of this nuclear renaissance in Europe was mainly due to the need for decarbonization. So in the energetic mix for the future, we are going to need to program energy. So we need a decarbonized energy source that can supply energy when it's most needed and it's not available from other sources. So nuclear power can indeed play an important role. So today there is a nuclear renaissance, economic independence, energetic independence, decarbonization. What will fourth generation nuclear power do? It will produce sustainable energy. So I would like to show you something. It's coin here. This is the quantity of matter that we need during our whole life in terms of energy. Now, this is also waste that the nuclear is generating, a circular nuclear generating during the lifespan of a person. Now, I brought this piece of metal to make you understand why we can get to this type of sustainability, because nuclear is 1 million more time concentrated compared to any other type of chemical energy. And so the environmental impact can be reduced using resources. Now, the good news is that we are not only using very little material, but this material can be 80 years of waste, of industry waste recycled. Therefore, nuclear waste from other reactors can be recycled. Waste coming from hundreds of years, made available in warehouses in Europe. And so this is very important. Now, in people's imagination, in our culture, people fear nuclear power. And I could say a couple of things here. Firstly, nuclear power has always been the safest source of energy for people. Maybe we don't have this perception in our culture. Secondly, future nuclear power will avoid the type of accidents that characterize the nuclear power of the past, such as Chernobyl, for example. So using new technologies indeed allows to avoid accidents. It's called passive safety, and it is very simple to obtain by using new technologies. And this is why everyone talks about fourth generation nuclear power, because if a country such as ours will go back to nuclear power, we will be able to embrace a technology that will solve the nuclear problems of the past, or the perceived nuclear problems of the past, namely radioactive waste. And we will eliminate the need for a geological deposit of radioactivity for hundreds of years, thanks to this continuous recycling cycle. And there is also the potential of creating more economical and safer nuclear power. So, if these are the fears or perplexities we might have as the common people vis-a-vis nuclear power, well, we will need to trust technology more and trust our experience in managing nuclear power plants. We have been managing nuclear power plants for 80 years, so we need to be a bit more trusting, and this energy will be part of our energy mix for the future. And in Italy, we will be able to have an important role, because luckily we have not lost the know-how of Enrico Fermi. You know, when I was born, Italy was the third nuclear power in the world. So we do have an interesting know-how. If we manage to cultivate this, we will be part of this new revolution. And this is already happening in Europe and in the rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sticking to the times. And now, next, we'd like to talk about real estate. And Virginia De Albertis is the next speaker. Now, buildings are more and more energy efficient, so they can be an important source of renovation, requalification. And the fact that we can attract investments at this level can change our lives. Not only the lives of people, but also the lives of companies. We will see what can happen with the greenhouses, green homes. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, the building industry, the construction industry is one of the main players of the energy transition towards a more sustainable model. I want to give you some figures to let you understand the impact of the building industry. It accounts for 20% of Italian GDP. I mean, in Italy, there's always been a GDP growth coupled with the increase in the real estate sector and the building industry. And it covers, it has an impact on 80% of other sectors. Very often, sustainable buildings are considered something opposing, but it's not true, because if you work in the building industry, you can improve the entire heritage of the Italian real estate system. You probably heard about this Superbonus instrument. There was a lot of criticism around the Superbonus because it was too expensive, but its goal was to renew the building heritage, because 80% of our homes were built before the possibility of creating greenhouses or energy complying homes.
Poi incentivi.
Then, the Superbonus was an extreme incentive. We also have to comply with the Green Directive, but in order to do so, we need to have some tax aids allowing us to implement this energy transition. Otherwise, it's impossible to perform this energy transition in the building sector. And the construction industry, as I said, affects the entire industry. Then there is a process that leads to the construction of bridges, homes, schools, public buildings, and can have an impact on the environment. And therefore, in order to do so, we try to develop a code of conduct on a voluntary basis. It is called a sustainable impact, and unlike other industrial sectors, our real estate, our building sector is made of many different small companies, and the code of conduct is based on 8 commitments at a sustainability level. Therefore, decarbonization, environment protection, but at the same time, sustainability is considered at large. Therefore, complying with regulation, offering legal work, complying with the contracting and subcontracting rules, because it's not only important to comply with CO2 emissions, you also have to fight against the mafia, against the crime or criminal organization intrusion in this sector. And so basically there are 3 different levels that are scalable. We did these 3 levels because we have very different companies in the construction industry. You might have very small companies made of 3 people, but you also can have very large companies that subcontract their work to others. So it was important to comply with this rationale. An entrepreneur has to comply with this code of conduct, and irrespectively of the fact that it's a large company or a micro company. So if you want to comply with this code of conduct, it's not because you are big or small, it's just because you just want to do it. So I invite you, when you want to start an activity where there is a building site, please ask people to comply with this code of conduct. Just two more things, and I finish. We asked even large construction companies to follow these regulations, because this is the basis to have an efficient sector. Thank you. Thank you for sticking to time. Thank you, Mr. Albertis, Mrs. Albertis, Stefano Bono, for being with us.